But what if it's less about finding the perfect schedule and more about optimizing and managing your energy? Now, resistance is part of being a creative. It's also part of being alive. And if you're watching this channel, you're someone who has a vision and you have something inside of you that wants to come out. All right, fam. So in this video, I want to talk about a productivity hack that I don't hear anyone else talking about. You know, there's so many different models out there for like time management and scheduling and time blocking and bullet journals and prioritizing and managing your time efficiently. But what if it's less about finding the perfect schedule and more about optimizing and managing your energy? So in this video, we're going to talk about the idea of energy management instead of focusing so much on time management. So put it this way. We know that time is this concept that humans have created. You know, we made up the seconds, we invented minutes and hours and days and weeks, and we made the calendar and we created the clocks. And now we have this society and this way of life that operates inside of that. But we also live in a universe that is entirely made of energy. Everything is energy. And so your energy dictates the quality of time. I'm sure every single one of you has had this experience where you're doing something really boring and you feel gross or you're not well or your energy is off and 20 minutes feels like 5 hours. Everyone has had that experience. But then there's this other experience that's on the other end of that, which is when your energy is powerfully aligned and you feel really confident and on point and you're absorbed and so in love with what you're doing because your energy is aligned. This is a flow state. And in flow states, time just can fly by. You know, you could be doing something for 20 minutes and it feels like 1, or 5 hours can feel like 10 minutes. That's a flow state and it kind of exists outside of time, but it comes about when our energy is managed in a way that we are completely available for that present moment. And we're so absorbed in what we're doing that time is irrelevant. And so I'm like, is it better? Because I think we do still need to operate inside of time. So I find for me, time blocking is the best way to go. But I should create a time block to manage my energy first before I take on a task. So what if instead of scheduling 2 hours to make content, I schedule an hour to clear myself, to prepare myself mentally, to visualize, to process my emotions, to bring myself into a really clear, powerful, energetic state so that then the next hour I have put aside for creation, I'm in flow state. I am optimized. I'm ready to go so that in that hour, I could probably produce way more than I could have in 2 hours of forcing myself when my energy wasn't aligned. All right, so as always, I like to give you guys something tangible that you can work with to take this concept into your own lives and have a play and see if it feels true for you. So I believe that there are 5 energetic spheres. So we have 5 layers that drop down in density from our spiritual energy to our creative energy, to our mental energy, our emotional energy, and down into the densest form, which is our physical energy. So physical energy is body, it's your physicality, your health, your diet, your exercise regimes, but it's also like your material possessions, resources, environment. It's the material world. And it's the densest, so it holds the most weight, which I'll get back to in a minute. So then we go out to your emotional energy, which should be pretty obvious. You know, that's your emotions, that's your feelings, the sensations in your body. But it's not just about like, oh, I feel happy, oh, I feel sad. It's like I feel a tension in my chest that doesn't, you know, it's there. I can feel it. So it interplays with the physical sphere because it is a physical sensation, but it's a bit less tangible. So this is your emotional energy. And then it goes out into your mental energy. So these are thoughts, beliefs, internal limitations, the stories that you tell yourself, what's going on in your mental world. And then we go out into your creative energy. So creative energy is ideas and inspirations. It's your pattern recognition system. It's the part of you that can create new connections and has novel ideas. That's your creative energy. And then we go out further into spiritual energy, which is your connection to the unseen universal field of intelligence that governs everything in this entire reality. That's intuition. That's where you get those weird aha moments that come from nowhere, those like full body experiences of just like knowing something that makes no logical sense. And so we have these 5 layers or spheres of energy, and you can work in any of the layers. But the thing that I've come to realize is that because the physical is the densest, it is the gateway to all the other layers. So if you want to like bring yourself into a really powerful energetic alignment in a really simple way, it's prioritize your physicality, prioritize your health, your fitness, move your body, sweat it out, but do it from a place of intention, right? So if you hold the intention of, I am going to sit for a minute before I do this workout, for example, and I'm going to tune into what I'm feeling and experiencing in my body. I'm going to take a moment to like tune into what is going on in my mind. I'm going to hold the intention to open up to receive new creative inspirations and open up to receive guidance and intuition from something that is beyond what anything that my mind can comprehend. If you do that before you go into a workout and you stay present and you move your body and you do something that's really physically taxing and physically exhausting, you can actually clear all the levels at the same time and bring yourself into balance. When we transform the physical, because it's the densest, it impacts all the other layers. I have experienced this firsthand. So just after my 30th birthday in 2016, I came home from being up north in Byron Bay and following my career as an artist, and I had to come home because I got really sick. Like my body just gave out on me completely out of nowhere. I started getting systemic inflammation and chronic fatigue syndrome, and I gained like 15 kilos without changing my diet. And I was so depressed. I was terrified, and I just had nothing. I had nothing to give. But it was really challenging because I had all this creative inspiration. I had all these ideas. I had this thing that I wanted to work towards, but my physical energy was so low that I literally couldn't do anything. So I had to focus on that level. I had to come to a point where I was prioritizing my health, where I was building my body up from scratch, where I was doing everything I could to cultivate this aliveness and this life force in order to allow those creative inspirations and the intuition and the guidance that I was getting to come through me into the world. I believe that when we focus on transforming the physical, which is the hardest, because it takes time, it takes effort. Building muscle takes time. It's not an instant thing. But because it is so hard and it takes so much of our energy and focus, it impacts all the other layers. And because of that, it can be the portal for opening up and clearing your creative channel and your intuitive channel so that you can create more effortlessly and bring your deepest desires and dreams into the world without so much resistance. I often think about this with resistance training. Resistance is part of being a creative. It's also part of being alive. And if you're watching this channel, you're someone who has a vision and you have something inside of you that wants to come out. You have this feeling that there's like this untapped potential that you just want to bring into the world. And when we have that, we are going to face off with resistance. And so when I think about resistance training in terms of like physical training, building muscle, resistance training, if you think about the energetics of that, that's building your ability to face resistance across the board. And I have experienced this firsthand because when I started training jiu-jitsu, it opened me creatively in ways that I did not expect. It was not my intention. But as I went more and more into trying to do hard things, like hard physical things, the more that I noticed that I didn't have so much resistance when it came time to show up to my creativity. So I want you to go and play with this, like reflect on it, sit with it, feel it in your body. Like, okay, what layer of my energy is out of alignment right now? If you've put aside time to sit down and focus and get work done and be productive or produce work, which is what productivity is really about, before you do that, sit and say, okay, which part of my energy needs to be brought back into alignment for me to be fully present? Like this is something that is an ongoing process and you can refine it over time and you can find new ways to bring yourself into alignment in these different energetic spheres to allow you to elevate your creative energy and receive more downloads and inspiration from that unlimited field of potential, so that you can bring that thing that's inside of you, that, that untapped potential that you're like, I know I have this thing. I know I have something inside of me that wants to come out. I know that there's this greatness that wants to be birthed into the world. Then we need to bring our physical, mental, emotional energy into alignment so we can open up to allow that creative and spiritual energy to channel through an empty vessel. So it's about emptying your vessel. So I really hope that this is giving you just a bit of a perspective shift around this whole idea of productivity, and has given you some tips and maybe some things to think about and implement in your own life, so that you can bring more of that, whatever that is, that thing for you, that part of you, that greatness, that potential. I want to see it in the world. And so my whole intention with sharing these videos is to help you access more of that and more of your greatness and bring it into the world, because that's what we need. We need more people sharing from there, that place. So I hope you have an amazing day or night or whatever it is, whenever you're watching this video, and I will catch you in the next one. Mwah.